Welcome back to the i.e.427 garage, everybody. Today I thought we would do a sort of a year-end wrap-up because we're still working on getting the Mark IV prototype all detailed and ready to go back to the owner. I want to get this thing out for some glamour shots. I'm still looking for a spot to do the glamour shots. I think I've worked out something with one of our neighbors here so that we can get some nice, cool-looking glamour shots for the car. But come right back. We're going to go through some of the projects that we have upcoming and some of the products that we're selling, and then kind of give you a where we're at on things in the shop here. All right, since I'm over here at the workbench, I want to go ahead and start with some of the parts that we're selling. So these, of course, are our shifter handles. These are just the machined shifter handles before we put the bend in them. So if you can see right here, they're machined flat right here, so they will go right against your Tremec shifter. We've got them threaded on one end with the same size threads that the Factory 5 shifter ball uses. Those are a 3/8 by 24, I believe. And these are all brushed stainless steel. Now, I did get a question about us offering these in polished. The problem is that if I polish them, they're going to be polished before I put the bend in them. And then they're going to get kind of boogered up right here in the area where I have to put the bend in them. Now, I have a jig to do the bending, but it's still it mars the surface of the stainless. So the easiest thing for me to do is to restore the brushed finish on them. Now, if you wanted to take these after you got them and have them chromed, or you wanted to take them and have them polished, that's completely up to you. But for us to not only polish them ahead of time, we'd also have to warehouse both polished and brushed. And we're just not in a position to do that right now. So if you guys want one of these, they come in a satin finish. You can polish them if you like. They're pretty much ready to go. Now, I will show you on this other side, we do have a recess for these. These are going to take a cap head screw. So it's the black oxide cap head screw that goes in here with the Allen head. And we found that it really helps when you use one of these versus the Factory 5 shifter. The Factory 5 shifter arm puts the shifter boot in a bind, and so it continually wants to pop out a third and fifth gear. First gear, you're not in for long enough that it matters, and you usually have your hand on the shifter anyway. But third and fifth gear seems to be the issue. So with this, it brings the shifter straight up and then forward, and so the shifter boot isn't put in a bind. So we've got those for sale. Those are $100 a piece at this time. That's all subject to the price of the material. If the price of the material goes up, obviously the price of the shifters are going to go up as well. The next product that we have that we're selling are the glove box door liners. Now, anybody can make these. Basically, we're just taking a template and we're using this thin carpet material that we're using to line the inside of the glove box door. So these are for sale on our Facebook page. You can contact us through email. I want to say these things are like $10 right now, but if you want one, let us know. These will ship in a flat rate envelope for USPS, so they're relatively inexpensive to ship. I think the envelopes are costing between $10 and $12 to ship right now. And then below that, we have our trunk lid access cover that we're selling. And I believe we're selling these for $25 plus shipping. And again, these will ship in a flat rate envelope. So you've got those parts. The next thing, I've got a couple of blanks cut out for one of our drop trunk boxes. I've actually got two sets of blanks here. We're going to be making one of those up for Henry over in Florida. He's working on a project for the London Cobra Club, and so we're shipping one of those out to him. The last thing I want to mention is our turn signal switch. I've got a couple of hubs right here that are all set to go out. This is machined. It's actually the Factory 5 hub, so we actually start with the hub from Factory 5, which looks like this, and we turn it into this. And these two canceling pins or canceling tangs are what actually self-cancel the turn signal switch. Now I'll have an upcoming video on these with some instructions as far as wiring, but for right now I just want to let you guys know that these are available. Again, contact us through email or through the Facebook page, and then we'll get you all set up with one of those. So that's kind of where we are on all of the parts that we currently have for sale. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the upcoming videos that we're going to have. Now, a lot of this stuff is not going to appeal to the Factory 5 guys, and hey, I understand. My taste in videos on YouTube and Rumble maybe far different than all of yours, because I enjoy all kinds of shop related stuff. I enjoy all kinds of car related stuff, not just Factory 5 stuff, and so I get it. However, I have been looking for a solution to getting power into my enclosed race trailer, because lately we've been storing cars in there a lot more than we used to, and so a car that's sitting in there with an active battery becomes an issue, because you don't want the battery to go dead. So what I was looking for is I was looking for something that I could mount onto the trailer wall and get power inside the trailer without leaving one of the doors open. So I found this product. This is an inlet, as they call it. So it's a 125 volt, 15 amp power inlet. And so what this does is you drill a 2-inch hole with a hole saw. This goes in the exterior wall of the trailer. It allows you to hook a cord up to get power on the inside of your trailer. And this can be wired into an outlet, or it can be wired into just a cord. Eventually we'll probably wire it into a couple outlets inside the trailer, but for now I'm just trying to get power in there. The other thing that I'm also going to add to the inside of the trailer is a charging port for the actual battery that supplies power to our breakaway trailer brakes and for all the interior lighting of the trailer. And so I want to be able to charge that by plugging in my battery charger to the inside portion of the trailer to this, and be able to run my battery charger, my battery tender, from that over to this inlet. And so we're going to wire this inlet into the inside wall of the trailer, and that'll allow us to hook up a battery tender to it and keep the battery topped off for the actual house battery for the trailer. So that works. The lights inside the trailer, like I said before, the breakaway brakes for the trailer itself, and it also works our tongue jack, because we recently installed an electric tongue jack onto the trailer. And so all that stuff is reliant on the battery, the 12 volt battery that's in there, and so this will make charging that and keeping it topped off a lot easier. One more thing is Ellie has not been seeing any attention, but work is ongoing on Ellie, the Maverick project. I am slowly but surely getting more parts together so that when that project does come into the shop, hopefully we'll have all the parts that we need in order to get the project moving forward quickly. So what this is it's a hydraulic cable for a 2005 to present, so 2023 to 24 Mustang. Now it just so happens that the master cylinder that we're using for our clutch in Ellie, the Maverick projects, is this particular master cylinder. So this port on the end of the hose right here should plug it right into our master cylinder. Now on the other side I have a different fitting order, and if you notice this is AN4 on both sides. So we're going to be able to take this adapter off on this side and change it out for an adapter that fits a, I think it's a 99 through 03 Chevy Camaro with a 6-speed T56, because we're using that particular T56 in Ellie for the transmission. And so I've got to go from a Ford master cylinder to a Chevy throwout bearing, hydraulic throwout bearing. So hopefully that's going to work and we're not going to have any issues. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. I can still use the pedal assembly and I can go with an aftermarket like a Willwood master cylinder for the clutch and adapt that in there. But I'm hoping that the master cylinder that's already attached to the pedal assembly is going to work. It should. We'll see. Last thing, as far as parts, I want to go back to the turn signal switch and let you guys know we are working on prototyping a quick release. Now, what I'm hoping is that this is our prototype. We're going to machine this end with the 2 canceling tangs that you saw on the other hub that we've already got finished. This is just a simple Grant steering wheel adapter. The reason we're going with this one, or the reason we're prototyping with this one, is because this bolts directly to the Motion Raceworks quick release steering wheel assembly. Now, once we go into production, we're thinking at this point that we're going to have it pre-drilled for both the Grant steering wheel adapter here and for the NRG quick release. Now, the NRG is going to be completely dependent on whether the adapter cap fits over there with the bolt in place. If it doesn't, then we're not going to be able to use it. You're only going to have one option. Now, we're not supplying any of the quick release for any of this stuff. You guys are going to have to buy those on your own, but we're going to machine the actual hub so that it will adapt to. Now, if you want both, if you want your factory 5 hub and you want the quick release hub, of course that'll be an extra cost on top of the normal price for the turn signal switches, which right now is running around $300 for the complete turn signal switch. But we'll see how it goes. I think basically people are going to do one or the other. They're going to either do a quick release or they're going to do the factory style steering hub. So, but we'll leave it an option. If you guys want both, then you can add that to the cost of your turn signal switch and then we can provide both. So let me head out into the main shop and we'll go over what some of the upcoming projects are. So this project got here first, but it only got here first by a couple of weeks. And it wasn't supposed to happen that way, but that's the way it was. It was kind of a race between these two clients to see who could get here first. But I think both projects are going to be ongoing at the same time, because as any of you guys know, sometimes you run into roadblocks on a project, kind of stifles the forward movement, and it's nice to have another project. You can just roll into the shop and get some work done on that. So these projects will probably be swapping space on the lift, and we'll be working on both of them simultaneously. So this is a Factory 5 Type 65 coupe, and you guys have probably seen it here in the shop. Every time I kind of roll in to the door there from the main part of the shop. Now, we have all the parts that came along with this up on the mezzanine, and you can get an update on the mezzanine and all that kind of stuff on our other channel, the Mrs. i.e.427 channel, because we're going to have an update on that coming here real quick as well. But this project is going to go pretty much at the same time as the other project that's here in the shop, which I'll get to in just a minute. The owner for this one has a Ford Coyote, so a 5-liter Coyote engine that he's having custom built for this project. I think he's going normally aspirated, and he's looking at somewhere in the 500 horsepower range, which isn't too hard to do with a Coyote, with some simple upgrades and engine management system. And I think we're going with the Holley Dominator for this project. But I don't have the ECU in front of me. I packed that up and sent it back to the owner so that he could give it to his engine builder so that they could do a run-in on the motor when they finish building it. So this one's been sitting here. As you can see, it's been gathering dust, but honestly, it came here dusty because the project had kind of stalled. The owner was working on it with a buddy of his, and they just, like I said, the project just stalled. We get these cars for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes the owners run out of talent. Sometimes they run out of time. Sometimes life just gets in the way. So we're going to take this one and we're going to finish it up for the car owner. And this is going to be a really nice car when we're all done. This one has an independent rear suspension. I believe the owner has already got some Recaro seats that are sitting inside of it. But we'll kind of go along through this here in the coming weeks, because I think the owner's going to come out here. We're going to sit down and chat, and we may make a video out of it. So you guys will kind of get all the ins and outs of this particular car build. Now, the other project that's in the shop is this beautiful 1968 Ford Mustang. And we got this, like I said, we got it about the same time that the coupe rolled in here. And the car has been painted. So it's got fresh paint on it. We're doing our best to keep everything nice and clean. But you can see the inside of it is full of parts. The trunk is full of parts. We've got a pile of totes over here in front of the car that are full of parts. We've got some more totes over there that are full of parts. Now, some of the parts are used. Those are the parts that came off the car, like the wind wing assembly right there. Some of the parts are brand new. The engine that's going in this one is the engine you see here on the stand. This is out of a 1987 through 1993 Ford Mustang. I'm not really sure on what year it came out of, but I do know that where the fuel injection connections are, this is from an 87 through 93, not the 94, 95. Now, this engine has been completely rebuilt. It's ready to go into the car, along with a brand new T5 transmission. This is a Borg-Warner transmission. I believe it was purchased when Borg-Warner still owned the rights for the T5. They have since been bought out by Tremec, but that right there is going to go along with that engine. And as with the coupe, we're probably going to have the owner, I'm thinking probably a phone call. We're going to do a phone call with the owner and kind of go over the build specifics, kind of when she got the car, what were the circumstances, how long she's had the car, how long that her and her father had been working on the car, and all those kind of questions, what her build plans for the car are. Because honestly, without me going through all of the different parts that came along with this, I don't know what work has been done to this other than the paint. Now, the interior is completely out of the car. Everything has pretty much been stripped out of it. And I know that it's got a brand new rebuilt 9-inch rear end in it. But looking at some of the front suspension components, it looks like they still need some attention. So I don't know if we're going to be doing a disc brake upgrade on this, bigger brakes, what type of wheels she wants to put on the car, whether this is going to be more of a authentic resto to a 1968 Mustang, or whether it's going to be like a resto mod where we take some liberties with some wheels, maybe some Shelby inspired wheels, something like that, little taller, little wider, stuff like that. So this is going to be a nice driver when all is said and done with the fuel injected engine that's going in it. But I don't know how much liberty we're going to be taking with the actual original car as it sits, or whether we're going to, modify it more. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's in the shop now. I also talked to another potential customer in Washington. So this will be another build that we're getting from Washington, a Mark IV Roadster from Factory 5. And that car is, I think, coming down sometime next month. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in the shop. We've got to get the prototype delivered to Texas. And so I'm kind of working around the date that this car goes to Texas for the delivery of the car from Washington, because as you can see, the shop is still full, even though we've been making room. We've been getting rid of a lot of stuff, but we've also made room with the new mezzanine. And so as some of that stuff kind of gets moved up into the upstairs of the mezzanine, It's going to free up some space in the main part of the shop, and we'll have just a little bit more breathing room. So I know this isn't the typical video that we normally put out, but all of this has been car related, and I really didn't want to stick this on the other channel. Next week's video, we're going to go through the detail process of this. I've already started the detail process underneath. I've already started at the back. I'm about midway under the car, probably to the front firewall, getting everything cleaned and wiped down and really looking nice underneath the car. We've been checking for leaks. We've been checking to make sure everything's tight. One thing that we found, and this is why we nut and bolt the entire car, is I found caliper bolts loose on the driver's side rear. Not a big deal, but it could have been a big deal if we didn't catch it. So, like I said, before you get your car on the road, you know, you can go-kart it around the street. You know, you're not going to be doing 50, 60 miles an hour. But before you get it on the road and you start driving it, make sure you nut and bolt the entire car, because you're going to find stuff like that. You know, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. It's our job to check that stuff. And so I wanted to make sure that all that stuff was tight. And that's the reason we go through the entire car and nut and bolt everything. But you can see, you know, the wheels are on the car now for what I hope is the final time. All the wheel centers are on. The tri-spinners will probably be the last thing that we put on the car. But everything's really starting to look really nice and finished on this car. And I think once we get all of the dust blown off of it and get a first wipe down on it, this paint is just it's really gonna come alive. It's really gonna pop. So, like I said, I know this isn't our normal video, and I hope you guys kind of hung in here for this one. But we'll be back to car building next week, and look for updates on the Mrs. i.e.427 channel. And you can find all the shop updates over there. If you're enjoying the content here, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.